Episode 6 of Colombia 2016 introduced a cool little habitat in Colombia that was pretty much a flooded ditch just off the main flow of a larger river. I am inspired to try to aquascape an aquarium to represent this habitat, which I will do in this episode. This vision applied to this aquarium. Let's get started. Ted's Fish Room presents Colombia 2016, sponsored by Amazonas Magazine, Repashy Superfoods, and SwissTropicals.com. Let's be honest, it is impossible to exactly recreate a biotope in a small glass box. A biotope aquarium is really an artistic impression of a biotope. Let's break that down a bit. This Llanos ditch habitat is small compared to the entire ecosystem it is in, but it is huge compared to the 30-gallon aquarium I'm going to set up as a biotope. The relative distribution of space in the ditch is impossible to recreate in 30 gallons. I cannot model the biotope in miniature because I cannot make the fish and plants smaller than they actually are. Most of the water column in the ditch is open. There is a lot of space between the mounds of aquatic plants, the leaf-covered bottom, the edge of the ditch, and the surface of the water. I cannot recreate that spatial distribution in a small tank, unless all I do is recreate a section of the litter-covered bottom. But that would be a little too boring. The substrate in the bottom of the ditch is a soft, silty, and very organic mud. Not only is this very hard to reproduce in an aquarium, I would not want to have a tank with a muddy substrate. That would be a big mess to deal with and would cause some problems with filtration and managing water chemistry. There are a lot of different types of leaves, sticks, and other botanicals littering the bottom of this habitat. It is possible to recreate, but the diversity of organic matter would be difficult to match. What is necessary for the effect is not the accuracy of species, but the representation that the bottom of the tank has a lot of decaying plant matter. The density of fish is actually very low in the ditch. An accurate community of fish in a 30-gallon aquarium might be a pair of dwarf cichlids and a half dozen small tetras, which is something that can be matched in the aquarium. But a fish density that low may be a little boring to watch, especially if the fish like to hide. Matching the fish species for this biotope is technically possible. I was there. We had nets. We caught the fish and have the capability to ship them back to the USA. But I chose not to. Big mistake. Someday I may get some of these fish from the ditch, but for this project I'm going to have to use some similar species that I have on hand. Matching the plants is going to be harder. Importing wild aquatic plants into the USA is a challenge, so I will need to use plants that are similar but not exact. This green plant is the key to the entire display I want to create. I think that this is the genus Naja, but the only Naja species I have access to does not grow in straight, tall stems, so I will have to use a different plant species to get the same visual effect. In review, I cannot match the plant. I do not have access to the fish right now. I choose not to have a mud substrate, and I'm going to create this aquascape in a 30-gallon aquarium and call it a biotope. That is not really accurate. I will not say that it is going to be a biotope. I will say that it will show an impression of this biotope. Repashy Superfoods combines superior nutrition and ingredient quality in a gel food that fish like to eat. From staple diets to specialty feeds, there is a Repashy superfood formula that will benefit every fish in your aquarium. And the long-lasting gel allows fish to feed naturally on a food source that will stay in the water for many hours. Repashy superfoods are available from dependable retailers that specialize in high-quality aquarium and reptile products. For more information, visit the Repashy Superfood website at www.repashy.com. Sponge filters are the choice of serious aquarists in their fish rooms because they are inexpensive and effective. The biggest mistake a fish keeper can make is to assume that there is no technical advantage to one type of filter over another. Perret filter foams are superior to other foams which will eventually break down in an aquarium. I have Puree foam filters from Swiss Tropicals that have been in constant use in my fish room for a decade. Swiss Tropicals is the exclusive distributor of Puree foam in North America and a supplier of other high-quality aquarium products. Visit SwissTropicals.com today and learn more about the aquarium filters that the experts use. The tank for this project is a 30-gallon breeder that measures 36 inches by 18 inches by 12 inches tall. The tank will be filtered by an air-driven Puree foam cube filter and jet lifter from SwissTropicals.com. There will be a heater in the tank, but it will be set in the low 70s. Lighting is provided by a do-it-yourself LED strip light that provides enough light in the correct color range to grow easy to moderately difficult plants. The substrate will be in 2 layers. The base will be an aqua soil that helps plants to grow, which I am piling into a mound in the back center of the aquarium. A layer of fine sand is then used to cap the aqua soil. I prefer the look of the sand, even though it does not match the silty, muddy bottom of the natural habitat, and the sand will be a lot easier to keep clean. I am placing a few pieces of sinking wood on the back side of the substrate mound, but they will be barely visible once the plants have grown in and are mature. These pieces will provide hidden structure for the dwarf cichlids going into the aquarium. The main hardscape feature will be provided by 3 dried palm fronds similar to the fronds that were in the ditch biotope. These palm fronds are big, and after they soak up some water will look bigger because the individual leaves will expand. Over time, however, they will start to decay and look more like the palm fronds that are in the ditch. The basic hardscape layout is a structural ring around that mound of substrate with the wood in back and the palm fronds across the middle and the front. Now I will add just enough water to soak the substrate before adding the plants. My goal is to model the section of the ditch that has the mound of tall green plants. I do not have access to a similar Naja species plant, so I'm going to use a green myriophyllum, which looks similar and is very easy to grow. I purchased 100 stems for this project. When planting stems like these, I use forceps to drive the bottom of the stem through the sand cap and into the layer of aqua soil underneath. The stem will lay flat until the tank is filled with water, so I start at one end of the planting area and work my way across, laying each stem the same direction. I plant the stems about 1 inch apart, which will create a dense mound. One way to make the plants look more natural is to plant them around and through the hardscape pieces, especially the palm fronds. This will give the impression that the plants grew through the structure. Myriophyllum is an easy plant to work with. The leaves can survive being out of water for quite a while, so there is really no need to rush. There are other species of plants in the ditch that have broader leaves, but the plants were marginal and grown in immersed form, which I cannot use in the aquarium. So I am planting 2 small Echinodora species melon sword plants to provide some diversity in the aquascape and give the impression of those larger plants with broad leaves. All the plants are in the aquarium, so now I will fill the tank with water before doing a few finishing touches. The stem plants look to be a bit of a tangled mess, but they are really just lying on top of each other in the positions they were planted in. I fluffed them up, beginning with the last stems I planted, and worked towards the stems I started with, just gently pulling them up from horizontal to vertical. Any stems that get pulled up in the process can be replanted easily enough. Overall, this aquascape is what I am aiming for, but I need to add leaf litter to the bottom as a finishing touch. A few days after the tank is settled in, I will add the fish. I am starting with a Pistogramma species Schwarzkiel, a species that is very similar to Pistogramma alacrina and comes from the same general area in Colombia. The first tetra going in is a school of Axelrodia risi, a common nanotetra from the area and a species we found in the ditch. I also want to include some autosynclus catfish, but I will wait until I have some diatom algae growing in the tank so that the ottos will have something to eat on. So here it is, the aquarium that I have set up to give an impression of the Llanos ditch biotope I visited in Colombia. Look for an update on this aquarium in a few months after it matures and I have added the fish. This is the first aquarium that I have set up that is inspired by my visit to Colombia, and there will be more as we continue with the series. Don't miss an episode of Cumbia 2016. Please subscribe to my channel and help spread the word by sharing this video with your friends. Thank you for watching Ted's Fish Room, and please check out my sponsors for this series, Rapashi Superfoods, SwissTropicals.com, and Amazonas Magazine.